everyone, and welcome to our next podcast for Undubbed, where we're unscripted, uncensored, and undeniably data. And along with my co-pilot, Sarah, I am super excited to announce that we actually have a wonderful guest on our podcast today, and that is Josh Geller. Welcome to the Undubbed podcast, Josh.
Welcome, Josh.
Hey, welcome to Undubbed. I'm Josh Geller, and I'm obviously thrilled to be here today. I'm a career coach specialising in helping tech professionals, especially those in data and analytics, navigate what's become over the last year a fairly unpredictable and a bit weird job market, particularly for those of us that are old enough to be wearing glasses. My main thing really is helping people land roles that align with their career goals. The reason I'm doing that, I've got a couple of decades experience recruiting, predominantly in data. And I was coming back to the market sort of mid-year last year, and I saw the state of recruitment was terrible, the state of the data market was terrible, and I found that a lot of people that I looked to as being very easy to place were struggling to reach out and get a new role. And this was a new experience for me to observe, but obviously a new experience for them to have and to experience themselves. What we're trying to do today is, if you're job hunting or just trying to find out what's next, the hope today is to bring some practical insights to help you not just survive, but thrive with your career.
Well, awesome. I really love that, Josh, and thanks for giving yourself your introduction. We love people that jump in and get stuck in. When you talk about coming in and being a coach and a mentor, how long have you been doing that for out on your own now?
Well, started June last year. So I've been doing recruitment for, as I said, many years. I faced redundancy and retrenchment myself, and that's put me in a position to kind of go, well, what do you do next? Do you go back on what you were doing? The first thing that people need to do when they're having a think about things is get some clarity, because everybody has this impression of who they are. And often that's your job, right? So if you're a banking project manager, well, I'm a banking project manager, and that's not necessarily the case, right? It's just what you're currently doing. So, I had to think about what are the bits that I really enjoy about the work that I've had. And I was thinking that, it's that training and development that I enjoyed the most. But then I was thinking, well, who do you train? It's a tough market, right? We're not hiring newbies. And if we are, we're not necessarily looking for training. So the people that seemed to have the most need for my help were people that were struggling to get a job. And if you're struggling to get a job and you're earning $200,000 a year, in 6 months, that struggle manifests quite a big problem, right? Particularly if you're not someone that's particularly shrewd with 6 or 12 months' money tucked aside. So I thought, hang on, I've got to be able to make an impact here. This is really very easy. These guys, they're 15, 20-year experts. They've got a huge network. They just don't really know how to hustle because that's not what they do. So, for me, I thought I'd try and promote a bit of hustle.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Sarah and I have both been working in data for over 25 years and switching into business ownership, even with our business all about data, having to learn the positioning, learn about that clarity, learn about that messaging is definitely a journey that we're still on as well. So sometimes I look at your posts on LinkedIn, even though I'm not looking for a role with another corporate organization, sometimes I feel like I could do with some of that coaching to get that clarity as well. One of the things that I've observed is that coming back to work this year, there's a lot of angst. There's a lot of posting about AI taking all of the data jobs. I think the World Economic Forum said that 87% of analysts are going to lose their jobs to AI. Thanks for that wonderful statistic. And so there's a lot of anxiety that's coming through. Not to mention, I still think we've got the hangover from the pandemic where people are really trying to find their feet in their roles. So there's a lot of people that are thinking, I need a change. I need to do something differently. I don't want to be a sad person on the train or the ferry going to work. I want to be really passionate about my role, but perhaps they're a little bit stuck. So walk me through what that looks like for someone coming to you and how you approach that with them.
what people are thinking at the moment is, how can I leverage AI to do my job? That's a really bad move, because, that only goes one way, right? What you've got to think of is, how can I harness AI to do something that's more valuable than my job, that still maybe needs me? And this is where education comes in. Like, a lot of people don't realize, but all of the best education on this stuff is free and on the internet. Most American, like Stanford and some of the other, really tier one organizations in America that are absolutely at the heart of this, all their learnings are online and for free. So go and learn. And what you've got to think of is, what would be better here that could maybe leverage AI? There's going to be huge opportunities in the ethics, implementation of AI. There's going to be huge opportunities in how we trust the data. You won't trust the AI with the data. You'll trust them to analyze it, but you won't trust them with, where did it come from? How do we know that it's true? There's all that lineage and the data quality. There's going to be huge demand for, and they want something they can turn around and say, right, this is sound, or it's not sound.
Yeah, really interesting. And I think that whole trust aspect is so fascinating. And when you were talking about that, I was just thinking to myself, when I'm leveraging and leaning into, say, ChatGPT or something, sometimes it can get it so wrong. And luckily, I have the foundational knowledge to know that it's so wrong. But there can be a lot of examples when people are relying on it so heavily that it won't be picked up. The data governance aspect of how particularly banks and healthcare, big, large organizations, are going to leverage AI and have it in a way that it is still safe enough to use is really valuable.
Well, the AI ethics officer, I see, is going to be a huge, huge role. And what I'm thinking is, if you're a data quality guy, you're interested in AI, you've got maybe some program management or some change management skills, you could star yourself as an AI ethics guru, because no one is, right? So I always tell people, if you want to learn something, be an expert, learn something new.
Yeah, really great points there. We will see huge evolution in the way that data professionals are approaching their work. And so someone who may have been or a BI analyst right now, in 5 years' time, they may be prompt engineering to understand things more, or we may just be getting auto-generated insights, and they're there to help train the models and improve what's going on. So as Sarah was saying, being able to ratify some of the results that are coming out based on their knowledge. They'll just become much faster at delivering to people. But I can guarantee you that executives at the top of the chain, even if it is as simple as doing a Google search, will be wanting someone to dish up the insights to them of what's the most important, because they'll be time poor in other areas as well.
Just want to switch gears a little bit here and maybe lean in a little bit to one of our listeners potentially has come back in the new year and has kind of come into their job. Maybe it's their first week back and they're like, don't want to be here, or I've got a sense my role may be up for the dreaded redundancy soon, and I want to start focusing on making that shift and moving within maybe a different career or something like that. You've spoken a lot around really making sure you're in front with AI and looking at opportunities there within LinkedIn that you would recommend that person did.
AI is obviously good, and everybody's going to try and get involved. But to be frank, some people won't necessarily have the interest or the capacity to credibly work in that space. It's not necessarily the be-all and end-all. Probably what's important is to have clarity around what your value is, what you want to be doing, and why. And so if you're there thinking, look, I know a lot of things, I can help a lot of people, I've got a fairly broad capability, and I'm open. I'm really open for a change. I'm happy to do many things. Nobody will want to talk to you. Like, that was the worst thing I had as a recruiter. People would call me up and they say, hey, Josh, I can do development, I can do programming, I can do project management, I can do architecture. I'm really open. I'm quite wide on salary as well. What do you have for me? And the feeling from an outsider maybe would be that would open you up to so many opportunities. But all it does is just confuse people. They've got all these boxes they're trying to put something in, and you're not giving them a shape, and so they don't know what box to put you in. The first thing you need to do, whether you do it with a friend, whether you do it with me, whether you do it with ChatGPT, is go through some introspection and work out, what you bring to the world and where you want to take it, and then ask yourself why. If you can answer those questions, you've got a very clear direction on what you want to do, which does a number of things. It pushes you a little bit out of the slump because you go, I'm going there. I know where I want to go. So long as you've got a destination, you can do a map. But if you don't have a destination, you don't know where you want to go, you don't know what vehicle you've got to travel in, you're going to get nowhere. But the next thing is, who do you want to be visible to? For example, you may have decided that you want to work with an American-based SaaS business in the AI space. That's the thing that really tickles your toes, right? Well, you can do some research and work out, who are those people? If I'm an accountant, obviously I don't want to speak to somebody in software. But from a data scientist, is there maybe a head of data science that's responsible for those sorts of people? Are they active on LinkedIn? Where do they post? Who do they follow? And so you kind of look to see, where are the people that you want to engage with? Where are they? What are they doing? Where are they talking to? Be as active in the real world and digitally in those places. If you see that they're all going to the same meetups, go to the meetup. You'll meet them. You can actually say hi. If they're all commenting on certain posts, comment on those posts, but comment with value. If they're all interested in certain things, particularly certain things that you have knowledge around, share some authentic stories that inform and give people a little nugget of information they can take away and use themselves. And it's like the old saying goes, if you hang around in a barbershop long enough, you get your hair cut. Once you're engaging, these people will start talking to you. Some of them might ask for your advice. You'll probably come up in headhunter searches because of the tags and what have you're putting out in your LinkedIn. You may even get asked to speak at meetups. And then all of a sudden, you're at a taller table than everybody else, professing your expertise in an area that perhaps you'd like to get hired in. So when you engage with people, even if you slide into someone's DMs or actively apply for work, if they've seen you present as an expert in one of the key areas within which they're trying to hire in, you'll probably get an interview. And that interview will probably be a pleasant one, where they're trying to sell themselves to you, rather than one where they're trying to validate you should even be in the room.
I really like that, and because I feel that when you are talking, it's something that you're passionate about, right? So if you start leaning into it and doing the research, you'll kind of find your journey and almost your posse of people that you can talk to this about. You may start in one area and end up down another rabbit hole, but it's such a great way to network and find your passion within the industry as well. And Josh, what would you say to people that feel a bit down and out? So maybe their confidence is gone and they see that they should be stepping up and finding their passion. But there are some people out there that have just been burnt and they're tired, and maybe they've been looking for 6 months and they're not getting any interviews. What would you say to the people that are really struggling at the moment?
It is really easy just to question yourself. Imposter syndrome is something a lot of people talk about when you're the CEO leading the company. When you're unemployed, imposter syndrome, it doesn't just creep in, it absolutely slams you. This is where a lot of people are supported by friends and family. If you can spend time with people that know that you're good and capable and have that reinforcement, and they treat you as a human being that's capable, that's good at stuff, then you have a little bit of that validation in your sort of day-to-day life. From a capability perspective, it's the only thing that really is worthwhile is winning. Winning begets winning. So what I use when I'm kind of concerned or when I'm working with people is just that sort of table leg process where you think to yourself, in terms of how I present to the world, it's not good. I don't feel confident. I have nothing that I can base my confidence on. If you've done things that are exceptional, you need to remember them. What I tell people is go back through your history, and it doesn't necessarily even need to be from a commercial perspective, but you need to think of the times you've done the impossible.
If you've not done the impossible, I'll take the exceptional. Anything less than that's not really worthwhile. And you think to yourself how exceptional or impossible the task is that you did, and how few other people could do that. And it's not your skills. It's just your perspicacity, your resilience, your refusal to give in that got stuff over the line. And that's what people buy. It can be, a sale that you made where your client was saying, absolutely no. I remember in London years and years ago, we had a guy for an interview with the Royal Bank of Scotland for some important job. And he said, look, I won't take your job, but I will come out and have a beer with you. And my colleague Sam had a beer with him and he took the job. He went into that conversation just knowing that there was just no way that he wouldn't convince that guy to go and do the job. And I was absolutely blown away. It's not something that people can do. It's not even something that someone like you should be able to do. You did it. And you did this, you did this, you did this. And if you go through it 4 or 5 or 6 or be there for an hour, eventually you'll feel that, yeah, I can get stuff done. And that's probably the easiest little mental hack that I have for trying to make yourself feel a little bit better about life.
I really like that. And I think, we very often focus on the bad things, the things we didn't achieve that we wanted to. And, the news, the media shows us this. Everyone wants to hear the bad stuff and not the good stuff. But if you can spend some time with yourself or others and talk about the times that you did do the impossible, I think that's a big mindset change that can then help you feel more confident in your ability. So thanks for sharing that, Josh.
Yeah, it does. Like I was reading something the other day. When people want to understand you, they want to understand how you've overcome challenges. So those stories that kind of highlight your resilience are probably more important than I've got version X, KY, of Tableau or Oracle or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, I'm going to circle back to something that you said a little bit earlier on, which was winning begets winning. And that hit me hard because when you start to get that momentum in there, you can really start to progress quite quickly. And one of the things that I find helps me to gain that momentum is just starting with the small stuff. So starting with the small wins that I can make and then building on top of those. And then that does bring me into a space where I feel like, okay, I've got this. So there's one thing that everyone typically shares when they're applying for new roles and they have to look after is the dreaded resume or CV update. Tell us, what do you see in your coaching experience for how people go through that journey and how do you help them to elevate their chances of hitting the top of the pile in that shortlist?
Yeah, it's interesting. Firstly, I think you shouldn't rely on a CV. If you can get a referral, it's at least 2/3 as likely to get an interview. And so I ideally would try and get a referral for each and every application. That said, a great CV is a great CV. Where people tend to go wrong in CVs is they're very narrative. And this comes down to clarity. If you are clear in terms of where your value is and what you want to do, then you can put that down. You can say, I bring this value, I want to do this. If you're a cloud architect with 5 years experience delivering AWS transformations, and you're looking to lead a transformation effort in Sydney, it makes a lot of sense, right? Whereas if you're an IT, this is the word I hate the worst, if you're a seasoned data professional, what even is that, right? So I think you can do some of the basic. If they are looking for a software architect, be a software architect. If you're not a software architect, why are you applying for a job as a software architect? Why is your job title not relevant? If your job title is not relevant because they called you a managing consultant rather than a senior technical architect, change it. Call yourself senior technical architect because that was your job. The thing that puzzles me the most is where the job roles are just so different. That's kind of basic, but you want to get your first sort of 4 or 5 lines is your profile. And if I was calling somebody up and said, hey, Fiona, I've got this person I think you should talk to, you would say, well, who are they? And I would talk for 20 seconds and you would either be interested or not be interested. really strong tip is to make that as interesting as possible. So, you have the job title, you have some level of capability. Senior dashboard expert with thousands of Tableau dashboards built for finance, so and so and so departments of banks, insurance companies, and so and so. I know, I can picture straight away who that person is in terms of where they sit in a business. I can understand that's someone that could probably sit in our business in that sort of role. Sounds very similar. And then the next thing I'd want to talk about is some kind of relevance to the role. So if they are looking to do a cloud transformation, recently delivered a cloud transformation at Optus with a little bit of detail, moving X number of terabytes to so-and-so. And then I'd round it off with the best accolade, because what I want to give people is the gift of no decision. And I'll go, oh, wow, it's Fiona. I'll just pick up the phone. I don't even need to read the CV.
Yeah, some great tips there, Josh. And I think there's so many things that you've pulled out there, especially around having that profile and that first 4 lines. I really like that, and having those hard hitters in there and then going into the detail. And I think coming back to the earlier conversation, network is king, right? If you've got your CV, if someone's got 50 CVs in front of them and they know someone in that CV, or they've heard of them, or they've seen them on LinkedIn talking about something that relates to the role, I think you are right.
That's going to make a huge difference. The other thing I saw the other day, which isn't mine, but I'm going to absolutely steal because I think it's golden, is getting your cheerleaders who are references to do a reference in advance. So if I got an application from 35 people and I got an email from the CIO going, Josh, I understand you've got an application from Sarah for a data role. I just want to let you know that I'm probably going to be one of Sarah's references. And here's a reference I prepared on her behalf. She was excellent. I think you'd be very lucky to have her. And then you've got a glowing reference. That's absolutely someone that you're going to speak to. You're definitely going to include them in the conversation because you have less risk. And it's all about risk and reward.
Yeah, completely agree. And I think we're going to have to end up there, Josh, because we have just run on some time there. And I've really enjoyed our conversation. It's great to see you here as our first guest.
True. Thank you.
Yeah, Josh is an active member of our community, which is great. You can find us all talking over there on dubdubdata.com. You can come and join our community. And please do give us a like, a subscribe here on our podcast under whichever platform you do prefer to listen to us on, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, or Apple. And please do leave a review as well. We are very new at this and we're evolving, and every little bit counts. Thank you again, Josh. We look forward to talking to you more because this was really exciting and I felt like we just touched the surface. But for everybody that enjoyed this today, you can find Josh and his great products that are listed on our marketplace as well. So thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everyone.